What do Africa and Turkey have in common? I was actually going through the greatest empires in history to see if any had both of these territories, and I thought there would be plenty, but there were only a few. What was the biggest one? I mean, can you guess what it is? Is it that hard? It's the empire that men think about on a weekly basis, something apparently very surprising to women. It's the Roman Empire. They barely had Africa though, just the sliver of the northern coast, which, to be fair, is a critical point of African real estate. But after building the earth in Minecraft for 4 years now, what kind of progress has been made in Africa and Turkey? In a previous video, we covered the annihilation of Minecraft Africa when one of the ex-owners disappeared and never gave back the world file, causing the erasure of Africa. Did Africa and Minecraft ever recover? Today, we're going to be covering all of that and showing you some of the most exotic and incredible sights you've ever seen. This is everything Africa and Turkey have ever done. First, let's take a look at Africa. For those of you who don't know, Africa a few years ago was griefed, but not in the way you would expect. Most servers and teams in our project are protected from griefers by backup systems, etc. But Build the Earth's greatest threat is negligent owners or server operators. In Africa's case, the one guy who had access to the world file disappeared and never bothered to give the world file back to the team before he did so, erasing all progress in Africa forever. Another thing, we don't have a single native African builder living in Africa. Everyone who's worked on Africa all these years have been African fans from other areas of the world. First, one of my favorites. This large area of progress in Tripoli, Libya, which at its edge has the Museum of Libya built during the Great Depression. Libya itself was founded almost 3,000 years ago by the goddamn Phoenicians. We've been in the desert a long time, and it was famously a part of the Roman Empire who captured Africa's northern lip for quite a while. What I love about this build in Minecraft is actually that at its center they have some completed street view, but the rest not, and it just looks interesting. The accidental glitched dark lighting, the shells with detailed windows, something about this looks like graphics from a Nintendo 64 game. A really interesting and unexpected, dark and gritty aesthetic from a place you would expect to be bright and chipper. The Romans weren't the only empire to capture Tripoli. Those freaking Ottomans got it too. But then Italy took it from them just before World War I. The Ottoman Empire is so interesting because it was born before there was no guns and lasted all the way to World War I, so it was equipped with modern weaponry by the end. No other empire was able to do that. Okay, here's some really high quality work. This municipality of Soweto in Johannesburg, South Africa. One reason these blocks of houses are so detailed is because they actually have 3D for the areas, which was pretty shocking. This is a smaller area of progress, but the street view and ground texturing is so elegant, they were clearly going for quality here. Would love to see some more suburbs done like this, and taken a step further with actual interiors to the houses. Now for something bigger, a large port coastline area in Luanda, Angola. This place was the slavery hotspot for Brazil and South America in the 1800s. And it makes sense because this place was first created in 1576 from Portuguese colonization, with 100 families and 400 soldiers. Literally 400 years later, in 1975, the majority of the population is African and they fight for their independence from Portugal. Then they have a 30-year civil war between two guerrilla fighting movements, the Angolan Communists and UNITA, the National Union Anti-Communists. The Communists won, and almost 1 million people died. If you're wondering where Angola is, it's on the lower west coast of Africa. If you slowly zoom out from the spot that they were making here in Minecraft on Google Maps, it kind of gives you a picture as to just how gigantic Africa is. It's really inconceivable. And here is the Red Pyramid of Cairo, Egypt. It really does look red in real life, so I'm not sure why they chose to go with the yellow Minecraft sandstone. You'll have to ask the builders. But they didn't skimp on the creation of this. With the stratification of differently angled sandstone stairs, they really made the texture of this in Minecraft true to the real-life original. This thing was built 5,000 years ago, and it actually wasn't originally red. It was encased in beautiful white Tura limestone, but there's only a few stones of it left at the pyramid's base. Where did it go? Well, during the Middle Ages, stupid people wanting to build buildings out of already polished and chiseled stones just looted the pyramid of its external layer, completely desecrating this holy artifact. I really hate history sometimes. The Red Pyramid was closed to tourists for a long time because of an Egyptian military installation, but now is open to the public. But if you want the cultural experience of Tripoli and how ancient it is, check out Tripoli's Old Town, also built in Minecraft. There's no 3D in this area, so it once again amazes me how high quality they've been able to make the city blocks of what has been created, shrouded in these Minecraft darkness glitches that have plagued this project's existence since its inception and probably will for all of time. Here's the lighthouse Francesco Crispi. The Italians built this during their fascist era and was in use until the 1950s when it was abandoned. Looking in real life, the weather has really battered this thing down after being 95 years old now. What I love about this area in Minecraft is the custom ground texture, really beautifully done to symbolize this strange, lone lighthouse from an era gone by. The Kumbungu Chief Palace is the central hut surrounded by a multitude of huts in the town of Kumbungu, Ghana. With the incompleted progress around this cluster of huts, you'd expect it to be a jungle or something. There's actually a bunch of modern buildings around it, or rather a mix of both modern buildings and huts. But enough about huts. African skyscrapers. The Casablanca Twin Towers, made in 1999, just before the fall of the actual Twin Towers. Coincidence? These are in Morocco and are among the tallest buildings in Casablanca, probably in the running for tallest in Africa. These towers aren't one thing, they're like 12 different things. Shopping centers, shops, bedrooms, suites, which I'm sure cost millions to occupy. They're the tits. They also have scant but real progress in the city of Tunis in Tunisia, where they've forgotten the floor but have really nice detailed houses. A temple complex centered around the Temple of Khonsu, an unfinished complex of ancient Egyptian temples at least 4,000 years old in Luxor, Egypt, a small cluster portion of massive slum areas in Kienda, Nairobi, in the country Kenya. This thing is so large on Google Maps, and with how good it is in Minecraft, I wish we could get a whole one completed someday. There's also a mosque built in Nouakchott, Mauritania, with funding from Saudi Arabia, the Sunni imam being an influential figure in the apolitical Islamist camp, and beginning progress on the tomb of El Said El Hassan El Maghari. So we've seen inklings of the incredible continent and the secrets, incredible architecture, and fascinating things that can be built here. Hopefully with time we can develop more of a following for building Africa in our one-to-one scale world to see more of the incredible historic and economic wonders of the region. But that is everything Africa has ever done. So we have a team Turkey who have been working on building the entire country in Minecraft for 4 years now. Let's start with the Anıt Kabir Mausoleum, which was created for the first president of Turkey and leader in the war for Turkish independence, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. 25 participants in a competition would determine the architect to work on the project, and they worked the entire area for the better part of the 20th century. People of renown and martyrs alike have been buried here, and it's no wonder, looking awesome in Minecraft. Karlitepe, one of Team Turkey's larger areas, a neighborhood within the city of Istanbul. Istanbul is one of the oldest and most important historical cities on the planet, being founded as Byzantium in 700 BC, inspiring the Eastern Roman Empire's name of Byzantium after the fall of Rome, and eventually being renamed as Constantinople or New Rome when the western half of Rome fell. Eventually we would experience the fall of Constantinople in 1453 AD, which would mark the end of the Roman Empire, though there were still some holdouts for the next century or so, defeated by the rising Ottoman Empire. Ottomans would keep the name as they held the city for the next 450 years until the Turkish War of Independence in World War I, and in 1930 they would rename the city Istanbul, its current name to this day. Istanbul has surpassed London and Dubai to become the most visited city in the world, and we have a piece of it for you in Minecraft. Also in Istanbul is beginning progress on the Intercity Istanbul Park, a motorsports racing track that hosts the Turkish Grand Prix and many other sporting events. Now, instead of a race car driver, imagine you're a knight in the Middle Ages, chilling in the historically rich district of Turkey, but the rising Ottoman Empire is coming to slaughter you. You might need a castle to save yourself from these attacks, and that's exactly where the Bodrum Kalesi comes from. Except what's awesome is that the Italians, French, German, and British all worked on this castle together to create individual parts of it. Just like the International Space Station had collaboration across more than 12 different countries, that space station really should be called the Bodrum Kalesi sequence, equal because we did it here first. Nations coming together like the fucking Power Rangers to resist the Empire, and the Ottomans attacked it many times and never managed to conquer it. Suck it, Ottomans. Oh, just kidding. They finally got it a few centuries after it was created. Whoops. Look at this shit. Absolutely legendary. You're looking at the Sumala Monastery, and they're not sure when it was founded, but the Turks say 386 AD, during the reign of Emperor Theodosius I, meaning this thing has an almost 2,000-year legacy of being inhabited with religious practice of Christian and Muslim monks, being abandoned and being restored throughout all of modern human history in one of the most volatile areas. In 2022, the modern era desecrated this place by making a video of people dancing at the monastery, turning it into a nightclub. I think we need a 5th crusade, and they've also built the Aspendos ruins in the Antalya province of Turkey. This was an ancient Greco-Roman city, with the theater very well preserved. When Athens and its neighboring states, in alliance with it such as Aspendos and a few hundred others, were committed to resisting and fighting the Persian Empire at all costs. 2,500 years later, it's now in a kid's video game. More recently, Team Turkey has also made this really powerful and heavenly garden that accompanies the Bilecik Clock Tower. Along with its clocks, Bilecik is well known for restored historical Turkish houses. Tourism is on the rise with its rich architectural heritage, and its proximity to the small town of Sogol, where the Ottoman Empire was first founded. We wouldn't be covering Turkey if we didn't check out the incredible ruins of a crumbling historical castle that comprises its own island in the middle of the sea, Kizkalesi, Maiden's Castle. They believe this was built by the Byzantine Emperor Alexios I after the First Crusade. It received an extensive rebuild in the 13th century, but basically has been crumbling ever since and received historical damage after being fought over by civilizations. And they've also built in Istanbul the Faith Sultan Mehmet Bridge, a huge suspension bridge linking Europe and Asia for the second time just after the Bosphorus Bridge. Built in the 80s and ranking 14th in terms of globally largest steel suspension bridges. Also in Istanbul is this largely completed area of progress around the Taksim Cumhuriyet Anıtı, a monument of the Republic. One side of the monument represents the Turkish War of Independence, and the other represents the Republic of Turkey. Basically what happened is World War I defeated what was left of the Ottoman Empire holdings, with the exception of them holding onto Turkish provinces, which led to Turkey's War of Independence, which ended up defeating those remaining Ottoman Empire holdings, allowing the establishment of the new Republic of Turkey. Turkey is a really interesting area, its heart and soul being fought over by so many historic influences. The Greeks, the Ottomans, ancient Rome, the Persian Empire, even Alexander the Great, and you can see it in this area. Now to get even crazier, we've got to see the Hagia Sophia. You would expect this to be from a different dimension. This thing looks crazy to me, especially in real life, but get this. They started working on it around 300 AD and worked on it for multiple centuries, completing in 537 AD. This was the last church on site to be completed by the Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire. It was Eastern Orthodox for about 1,000 years until converted to Catholicism after the Fourth Crusade for a really small amount of time, then back to Eastern Orthodox when the Ottomans got it back for good in the conquest of Constantinople when the Ottomans sacked the capital of the Byzantine Empire. As amazing as it looks, it would be even better if we got some street view to give us a clearer reality Minecraft immersion, as this place is just too amazing to leave unfinished. But an area with completed street view is this cornerstone Haydarpaşa train station on the bay. Unusual for a train station to be on the bay, but it was a staple service passenger area starting in the late 1800s and heavily renovated in the 20th century, helping Istanbulians near and far. Team Turkey has also done a nice job on the Folkart Towers, an incredible modern set of twin skyscrapers which are the tallest twin set on the continent. They look really nice, but again, hoping for that street view. It's probably really expensive to stay in this thing, and it's probably even more expensive to stay in the Sesame Sheraton Hotel, of which they've completed the building building and courtyard. Another courtyard with more historical significance rather than commercial is the Gundogdu Square, centered around the Republic tree. This is another monument tribute to the Turkey's War of Independence, with Team Turkey also putting in work on the broader coastline of Izmir. In Turkey, they have lots of legends. The legend for Izmir is that the ancient Erektids fought the Amazonians and won, and that the Erektids' leader married the Amazonian woman Smyrna, and thus Izmir's name comes from Smyrna. They're kind of similar. That's one hell of a telephone game. And here's one hell of a telephone booth. Just kidding, it's the fascinatingly detailed Kanakel Martyrs Memorial, and it's commemorating 253,000 Turkish soldiers for participating in the Battle of Gallipoli, a First World War battle that was considered a great defensive victory for the Turks that started the political conflict that kicked off their War of Independence. And that's everything that Africa and Turkey have ever done. One thing that's clear to me through the journey of this exploration: Turkey and Africa are so underrated in terms of real estate for recreating the Earth in Minecraft. These exotic locations, the ancient ruins, the Egyptian civilizational architecture, everything left from almost every historic empire marching through Turkey at some point, it's a treasure trove of human struggle and legacy. Africa's had a great start since getting destroyed, and Turkey is amazing as well. You can join either team with the links below. Our Tier 5 patrons, Third Edit Man and Levi, have laid their lives down for this project. Rest in peace. We will never forget you. Just kidding. They're okay.